Hello Magda, thank you so much for joining us today. First of all, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, it's really nice to be here. I've been a Christian nearly 2 years, so not that long, even though I'm in my 50s. I work for the local council and I've been there for about 18 years now.
Wonderful, wonderful. So there's probably some quite big stories you've got to share about what God's been doing in your life. 2 years, what difference has he made?
I honestly don't know where to start. I've got that much I'd like to say, but I think one of the things I'm going to focus on is how he restored the relationship with my dad. So when I became a Christian, I wasn't happy that God was male. I'd been in the New Age and was really into the goddess, so it was very feminine, very feminist. So one of my early questions was, why are you male? And I got back basically, you're going to have to deal with it, which is fantastic. But kind of part of that is having a father and having a father for the first time. And that was like a really big thing for me because my dad and I have had a very difficult relationship. He and my mum were divorced and she died when I was 26. So it's not been easy. And I kind of ended up not seeing him from 2012, which was, I just had to make that decision for me. I didn't particularly like making that decision and I always felt I could go back. But like after 10 years, I was like, how do you go back? So when I became a Christian, God kind of directed me to how to pray. So I tend to use the scriptures a lot because I didn't know where to start. So I've got a tabbed up Bible and I just tend to pray in that way and then sort of anything else that comes. And one of the things he asked me to do was pray for a softened heart, which is what I did. And I prayed for months and I'm still praying because there's still lots to sort. But I ended up on the back of that kind of feeling like I needed to reach out to my dad. I mean, he's in his 90s, he's not a young man. So I kind of ended up writing to him, I think just before Easter last year, and I sent him a St John's Gospel. Now the other thing about my dad and my mum, they're heavily into the occult. My dad was in a magic order, I think he still is, it's the Golden Dawn. So to send the Gospel was like wild. So I did it, I sent a letter and I apologised for my part of it because it was, looking back, just, it didn't need to really happen. So I sent the letter and I waited and nothing happened. And I thought, right, okay. And then in the summer, about 6-8 weeks later, he phoned me. The bizarre thing was, the first few phone calls, there was so much interference on them, we couldn't speak. So that was interesting, so I was praying about that. And eventually we agreed to meet. So I went down to my hometown in Essex. He still lives not far from there. And I took my daughter. We hadn't been to Essex for a long time. She said she'd come. She hadn't seen him since she was 13. And we met up with his wife, who I'd really had an issue with. But I don't know, somehow it was okay. And all I can say is, nothing's changed. There's nothing to say to him. He doesn't have anything to say to me. But somehow that family's been restored. And it's like God said to me he was going to restore things for me. And gradually, because I'm impatient and human, I wanted that overnight. And I haven't even known what I wanted to restore, to be quite honest with you. Because it's so painful getting to that restoration. Because all the prayer time when I was praying for the softened heart, so much stuff came up. It was like I just had to pray through all that before I even actually got to going for the meal. And even after that, there's even been more. So it's just been very interesting. And then we ended up going back in November, but this time my brother agreed to come. So there was about 10 of us. He brought his children, 2 of which my dad hadn't seen at all, and my daughter brought her boyfriend. We went back to the same place. And again, there was nothing to say, but somehow it was amazing. It was one of the best days I've had in years. It was lovely.
Wow.
It was like, the interesting thing is they're still into the New Age, obviously, and my stepmum permanently kept plugging it the entire time. I never even mentioned Christianity, but it's like even just sitting there, because they know what I am, it's really pressed a few buttons with my whole family, to be fair, but I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I just kind of was like, this is okay.
Yeah. Because there must have been, you're right, that your being there must have been a huge question mark to them. Why did you make contact? You know, that nothing's changed except for you, this softened heart that you were talking about. So you maybe didn't need to say anything.
I did tell my dad. I did in the letter. I put I'd become a Christian. So he didn't know that, and I did say to my brother, part of reaching out to my dad was I'd felt I needed to forgive my dad. Because I think in the end, part of the softened heart and the forgiveness is God forgives everybody. What right have I got to say my dad's worse than me? That was a real eye-opener to me. And I was like, oh, I don't really have the right to say you're in the wrong. Even though there's things I still can't get past, God's still working on that. I know that I feel very different about my dad. And I know that's not from me, because I was seriously not in a good place about any of it.
Wow.
So I think that's been probably outwardly the most differing thing for me. But inwardly, I'm just not the same person. Every day I get up, I kind of pray. I don't want to sound like I'm like a model Christian. It's not. It's because I need to. And there's so much to sort out. And God like burdens me up to pray for people. And it's so emotional. And I was sitting there this morning and it's like, it's such a living faith. It's so alive. God's so alive. It's that I can't get past it. I can't, because I was in the New Age and I did pray and I did all sorts. So I've always believed in God, for want of a better word. But it's like, this is nothing like that. And all the therapy I've been for, all the things I've done in the New Age, I did Reiki to kind of help myself because I knew I'd got a lot of issues. I'm sorry, but Christianity beats it hands down. There's nothing to even compare with. Yeah. And even like a lot of the spiritual experiences where I've had demons and things, only God can deal with that. No white lights, no crystals, none of that. It just genuinely, so I've had loads of experiences before being a Christian, but since then I've still had some others, and it's almost like God said, yeah, here you go, this is exactly how it is. So it's been utterly eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's been scary, but in a good way, a bit like a roller coaster ride, but you've got someone next to you that's holding your hand.
Wow.
So it's actually all right.
Yeah. You know, as you were talking, it made me think of that song, I've decided to follow Jesus, no turning back, no turning back. And it reminds me of that song, your story, because you realise that there is no other remedy for the problem of our hearts. That
No, there
it's
isn't.
incredible. Tell me about the verse that you'd like to share.
This is one because I'm part of the Beacon Academy church planting and prayers. So it's the Shema. So basically, I'm reading it from, I think, Mark, So it's Mark 29 to 31. So it's love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind and with all your strength. And then to love your neighbour as yourself. And kind of God put that prayer on my heart a long time ago. So I was already praying it, and then it came up that we should be praying it. But it's really nice to pray for other people, that you can pray that for them, that they would be strengthened and have all those wonderful things.
Yes.
So I'm still working on the neighbour. I'm still working on the love God, but the neighbour bit's been
work in
quite
progress.
difficult. Yes, very much so.
I should just say, for the benefit of the listeners who can't see Magda's Bible, it's a real example of a different way of praying. What I can see is lots of different green and pink tabs all the way through her Bible with a code at the front, for example, prayer, salvation, protection, healing, and it's a really wonderful, inspirational thing to look at. So if you do see Magda, she might be willing to show you, to give you some inspiration too. Thank you so much, Magda.